Right, here we go. Oh, let me see on the screen. Here we go. Right, can everyone see that? Good, 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 good. Right. Okay, right, let's get going. Hi, welcome. For those who don't know me, my name is Jenna. I'm a Scorpio moon coach and I'm a moon magic coach for mums. And I am so grateful that you're here and for spending this time with me. I'll just check the chat here. Oh, here she is. This is my mum. Hi, Mum. Hilarious. So right, before we get started, just like a few quick housekeeping stuff. So most of you have done this already, but please just pop yourself on mute if you haven't already. And if you've got any questions along the way, please use the chat. I'll kind of keep an eye on it as we go. And then a quick run through of tonight's session. So we're going to be very briefly talking about what is moon magic, just in case you're kind of new to it and you're not sure. Why I personally love it so much and why I think it's such a great tool for mums. Really quick, Lunar Cycle, 101. Then we're going to dig into the Virgo full moon, which is, it was officially yesterday, but I think the full moon energies last around 2-3 days. Then we're going to do a moon meditation. Then we're going to get into what I kind of do on a full moon. And we're going to do a full moon ritual together. We've got a little exercise in there, which is all very Virgo. And then we're going to finish with a tapping exercise, which I've just kind of started really getting into. And I just think it will be a lovely way to finish the session. So there's actually quite a lot to get through. If we go slightly over and you need to pop off and you have things to do, this is being I am recording it, aren't I? Yeah, this is being recorded. And I will be sending out the recording to everybody who signed up for this session anyway, so you can watch the end bit back if you need to pop off after an hour. Grab a pen and paper if you haven't already, as there will be a bit of writing later. And the other thing is, so we're doing a moon meditation. It's just a 5-minute one. And I tried to do it so that I could play the music for you through my speakers, but it's just very plinky plonky. And it kind of takes you out of the meditation. So if you would like to listen to some music during the meditation, just maybe queue up some, if you've got Spotify or something like that, just queue up some chilled or meditation music if you want to use that. You don't have to. Right, let's get cracking. Right. What is moon magic? So for me, moon magic is all about tuning into nature. So what's going on around us and really noticing that, really noticing this natural ebb and flow. And the moon has this rhythm every month, going through its phases. And moon magic is basically all about noticing that and then aligning yourself with it. Because, we all know that the moon affects the tide, so the rise and fall, and our body is 60% water. So why wouldn't it affect us in the same way by the way of our moods and our emotions and intentions? And for me, it's I feel we are cyclical beings. We're not meant to be linear. We're not supposed to be doing all of the time, 24/7. And I felt for me personally, when I am like that, trying to just constantly go, I just burn myself out every single time. So moon magic is just a way of us noticing that kind of rhythm, that ebb and flow of life that is around us, and then tuning into that and aligning ourselves with it. And that is where the magic comes from. My personal goal with moon magic, especially because I've, being a moon magic coach for mums, is to keep it really, really simple, because we have a lot on our plates, we're juggling all the balls, we're spinning all the plates, you know, there's like the mental load that's going on, the invisible workload that we've got going on. So I didn't ever really want this to feel like it was just like another thing to add to your list of like things to do, another thing to kind of get your head around. I wanted to keep it really simple so that you can actually like kind of get a hold of it and use it like I do, kind of seamlessly in your life. And two of my favorite things that I think have helped me massively, especially like as a mum, is the first thing is teaching me that rest is productive, and kind of really leaning into rest. So it working with the lunar cycle, it really teaches us to be productive, but it also teaches us that there is 100% a time to pause, be still, and like reflect on things and really get into that ebb and flow kind of like living and being, especially like in today's society. We're really judged on how productive we can be, like constantly doing all the things, like multitasking is just really praised and celebrated. And I think sometimes we forget that rest is like massively a productive thing that we can be doing, and it is so essential, it's so necessary. And the moon is a great example of that, because she doesn't always shine. She's, you know, she is at some points in the month, she is like her biggest and fullest and brightest, but we also sometimes don't even see her in the sky. Like she knows that she has to retreat and rest. I think as well for business owners that are on the call, like rest is so important for your business. Like you can't get creative, you can't be creative when you're like burnt out and you just don't ever stop and pause and like give yourself the space to reflect on things. We need that space, we need that time to rest. Like I actually randomly had like a bath in the middle of the day the other day because I didn't have the girls, and sometimes my when I don't have the girls, sometimes I feel like it's a time when I need to be like, you know, oh, I've got to cram it all in because this is my time, like to work and you know, cram it all in. But actually, like taking myself off for a bath to like literally just do nothing and just like lie there and soak and just, you know, just be. Then what happened was like you know, these ideas started popping into my head, and like I was like, oh, I could do a reel about this or about that, and it's because I gave myself the space for those thoughts to come in. So it's a really, really, really like important lesson that it also teaches us. The other thing is learning to trust your inner voice. So when you start to work with the moon, basically you create these spaces for yourself to listen to you, to start tuning into your intuition. So when we're really busy doing all of the things, it's really, really easy to ignore those inner niggles and, you know, those gut feelings that we get, because there's so many distractions, so many demands on us, and it makes it super hard to listen. Like that inner voice gets really, really quiet. But the more space you kind of start to carve out for yourself, the more space you start to create for yourself, and then in that space you start to listen, slowly that inner voice becomes louder and louder. And this is what I like personally found. So this is where like the magic happens, because it becomes louder, and then you start to act on those decisions, and then you kind of become braver in your decisions. And then because you trust this voice so much, you seek less external validation and opinions like outside of yourself, and you start to realize that you know what the right answer is for you. And it's really, really powerful. So like like for me, for example, like working with the moon and creating this space for myself. So when I left my job, I set up my own business, and it started as a VA business. But over time, like as I started kind of carving out this space for myself and really like tuning in and listening to like this little, oh, I don't think I want to be a VA. Like this isn't lighting me up. I actually, you know, I don't want to do what other people tell me to do, basically. Like I really started, but it was like initially it was like quite like a little, you know, I'm not sure. But then the more space I gave to myself and the more I started listening to myself, you know, the louder that voice became, and I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't lighting me up. And I kind of went more in this direction, and I've completely run with it. And there's just so much like power in just listening to yourself, like listening to your inner voice. So they're my two favorite things, and why I think, like, essentially why I think Moon Magic is really, really great for mums, because we are so busy and there are so many distractions and demands on us. It can feel like it's really hard to prioritize ourselves, to give ourselves the space to kind of, and like listen, like things are really, really noisy. So these tuning into these points in the lunar cycles, the new moon and full moon, will be really key times for you to like hone this skill and start to listen to yourself more. So this is the lunar cycle. I thought I'd just run through it really, really quickly, just in case nobody is, you know, not aware of it. So the lunar cycle is around 29.5 days. So roughly a month, basically. So we start at a new moon. So she is dark in the sky at this point. So the sun is kind of covering her so that we can't actually see her. And this is our point for, it's like where we're planting our seeds and we're setting our intentions, our goal for like the month ahead, or like looking like 6 months into the future. Like it's all about dreaming big and setting intentions. Then we move into this waxing phase of the moon. Okay, so she starts to get bigger and bigger. So waxing is growing. This is our more productive side of the lunar cycle. So you might find like your energy increasing. This is where we're watering those seeds, and then we start to see a tiny little shoot like push its way up through the ground. Okay, so this is our waxing phase. This normally lasts around 2 weeks. Then we hit the full moon, okay, which is the phase that we're in right now. So this is the highest energy point of the lunar cycle, where she's big, you know, bright. She's her fullest. I mean, I can't see her tonight because it's really snowy and miserable today, but she is there. She is big, she is bright, and this is what we're going to get into later, but she's shining her light on. So everything that we have achieved and we want to celebrate, and then anything that hasn't kind of worked out for us and has got in our way. Okay, so that is the kind of full moon, the vibe. And then after that, we then head into this waning phase of the moon. Waning means shrinking, and she starts to get slower, and she starts to get smaller and smaller in the sky. And this is that kind of, this is where our energy is just decreasing, and where we want to start to slow down a little bit more, you know, and kind of do like different kind of activities almost. So I do like moon alignment sessions and things where I go into this in more detail, but basically the waxing, that's where you want to be more like seen and out there, and like you want to be probably doing like more like things like this, like kind of doing your group sessions and public speaking, and I don't know, just more kind of parties and like more social stuff, right? And during the waning, it's a bit more, you start to get more and more kind of internal, and you want to focus on doing more like solo internal things, like maybe at work, or you want to start clearing your diary a little bit more, like plan less, you know, take all the shortcuts with the kids, like beans on toast, and you know, all of that kind of stuff. And then the dark moon is that for me is the lowest energy point in the lunar cycle, and that's where you really, really want to honor that need to rest and to almost clear your diary, and honestly just try and keep things mega kind of simple and easy on yourself. So that is like, you know, more screen time and like all of that kind of jazz, you know. But planning for these things and knowing when these parts of the lunar cycle are kind of coming up can be really, really powerful and just like a useful way to kind of get into this ebb and flow, you know, this kind of, we can't, you know, it's just when you start aligning yourself, you really will start noticing that energy around you, and you'll find it easier to kind of almost like prioritize rest, because you know that kind of waxing more productive time is coming, and you just kind of go round and round and round, and it just gets more easier the more you do it. So Virgo full moon. So we're in that full moon phase of the moon at the moment. So full moon phase lasts, and as does the new moon, around 2 to 3 days. So we're in that phase right now. So, and each full moon and new moon will fall into a different zodiac sign every single month. And this month, the full moon falls under Virgo. So I thought what I'd do is just like talk a little bit about Virgo and what it means, and then how we can kind of take that Virgo vibe and then use it in our kind of full moon practice. Okay. So Virgo is an earth sign. Each of the zodiac signs are split into a different one of the elements. So fire, earth, air, and water. So Virgo is earth. So all of the earth signs, so Taurus and Capricorn as well, they're the more grounded signs. So they're very much, they have this like lovely like building kind of, they're the like builders, they're like really productive, they have this real like stable kind of nature, but Virgos are efficient, like efficient AF basically. They want everything to function efficiently. Okay, so but they also really like to examine things and analyze, and they're hungry to improve and reach their full potential. Like Virgos are on earth to grow, and they really pay attention to the detail. Okay, so with that in mind, under this Virgo full moon, this would be a really great opportunity to examine how like your life looks right now, and like, are there any, you know, looking at the detail, are there any details that need to change? Are you growing towards your full potential? And if not, why? So if you could put, it's thinking like if you could put a microscope over your life right now and look at all the moving parts, what isn't working as efficiently as it could be? And I've got a really nice exercise that we're going to do shortly for us to kind of dig into that a little bit more. But it's also really important to look at the more like every single one of the signs, so they have a more like kind of shadowy side. So think about this way. So Virgo is a lover of detail, but sometimes like a little bit too much. So like looking, you know, this is where the more, you know, the perfectionism kind of comes in. And I know that we all know that like perfect doesn't exist, but like sometimes when we're looking for everything to be like just right, sometimes that can really get in our way and stop us from doing things, because it's not quite perfect yet. It's not, you know, all of our ducks aren't kind of quite, you know, all in a row yet, so it stops us from taking that leap of faith. And then with that kind of like analyzing nature, sometimes that can lean into like being more like more critical, I guess. And then but it's important to note, like the most criticism like a Virgo like will give you is normally towards themselves, so they can really beat themselves up. So then thinking about like this Virgo vibe is like, can we start to dig into the stories that we tell ourselves, and then use this full moon as an opportunity to to almost like detoxify ourselves of like those thoughts and like limiting beliefs that we're not worthy, we're not good enough. So that's the kind of like energy that I want us to kind of, this is where what we're going to explore like in our like ritual. It's also like really, really interesting actually to think, if you've had a birth chart reading, or if you know like what, if you know about your birth chart, so that a birth chart is a snapshot of the sky the moment you were born, right? So, and it basically shows you where your sun sign is, your moon, your rising sign, like all of the planets, where they were in the sky the moment you were born. It's like a snapshot of it. It's like a blueprint. It's like a blueprint of your soul basically, and where you're meant to be going on, like within on your journey. And then looking at that, if you have one, look to see like, is Virgo in your big three? So is it your sun sign, moon sign, rising sign? Because when you start to work with the moon more, when it like a new moon or a full moon falls under one of these signs, you will find that it tends to affect you more. So this full moon hasn't hit me as much because it's not, I don't have a lot of Virgo in my birth chart. But you might find that it might have affected you more because you have more like Virgo there. And also it's interesting as well to see when you look at your birth chart, what house, so your birth chart is split into houses. Each house has a different like theme of life. It's interesting to see what house the moon is kind of traveling through at the moment. So for me, the Virgo moon is traveling through my third house, which is the house of communication. So what I've had like little rumblings of is, you know, in that like Virgo vibe is what I'm telling you is what like how I'm communicating that. Is it good enough? Like I'm wanting to like perfect that and like really make sure that I'm getting everything right. That's what kind of like the vibe that I've kind of been getting, because I think it's going through that house for me right now. The other thing that I really wanted to tell you, just like astrologically, like what's going on at the moment, and you probably might have seen this on Instagram, like if you follow any of those accounts, but basically Saturn, which is the planet of like life lessons and rules and structure and responsibility, is literally yesterday just moved into the sign of Pisces, and is basically, you know, these like Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, like all of these planets, they're like the outer planets. They take ages to move signs. So the moon moves signs basically like every 2 to 3 days. These other bigger planets that are on the, you know, the outskirts of like the solar system take years. So Saturn will be in Pisces for like 2.5 years. So this shift is quite like huge, like astrologically. And like I said, Saturn is a planet of like life lessons, rules and structure. And Pisces is all about, my mum is a Pisces. Pisces is about leaning into your spirituality. And it's leaning into like Pisces is really dreamy, like they really can like, you know, head in the clouds, like really getting into like your imagination. So that is just a note as well. So just to say, like, if you do have a birth chart, look to see where Pisces is in your birth chart, because this is where you'll be getting the most kind of like life lessons and like these kind of lessons over the next 2 years. So I just wanted to flag that. Right, okay, so I want to start first by doing this moon meditation. If you want to play some music, or like, it's completely up to you. Stop, there we go. Do that now. Now I'll just get myself ready and we will do a moon meditation before we start. Okay. So now I'm going to guide us through a full moon meditation. So I'd like you to get really, really comfortable. Separate your hands and legs. Drop your shoulders. And if you haven't already, slowly close your eyes. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. And inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. And inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. I want you to picture the full moon in a pitch black night sky. Feel her energy beaming down on you, touching the top of your head, working its way down your face, down your neck, touching your shoulders, moving slowly down your chest, and beaming into your heart. Let it rest there for a moment. Her energy heads lower over your stomach, down the tops of your legs, over your knees, working its way to your ankles, and finally resting at your feet. Your feet begin to feel completely grounded to the floor below you. You feel secure and supported, like the roots of an ancient oak tree. On this Virgo full moon, feel her great intuitive energy beam down on you and fill you up. You feel safe. You feel connected with her. You are connected with her. You are a powerful being who can absorb the magical energy of this beautiful full moon. Inhale in self-love and exhale self-criticism. Inhale kindness and exhale negativity. Inhale clarity and exhale confusion. Inhale courage and exhale fear. You are loved. You are worthy of this time spent on you. You deserve more. I want you to feel the moon's energy in your space right now. Focus on her powerful and positive energy flowing around and throughout you. Notice how it releases any self-doubt, negativity, or fear. She is reminding you to make space for beautiful new beginnings to occur. Now, I would like you to take 3 more deep breaths. Inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. And then inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. And inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. And then when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. And we'll move on and we'll start doing our full moon ritual when you're ready. Okay. Right. Just looking at Lisa.
I was just going to pull the duvet over and go to sleep. That was so nice.
Oh, good. Right. Okay. Let's get into it. Right. So when I personally, also, I just want to say there is absolutely no right or wrong way to do a full moon ritual. I think it's whatever works for you. This is how I personally do it. But you could just take a bit of this and find something else to do. I just think just do whatever feels good to you. But I just want to pass on what I personally do on a full moon. Okay. And so the first thing, so I sit on my sofa or wherever. I might do it in the bath. It all depends on how long you've got. It doesn't even matter if you've just got 10 or 15 minutes and you just sat do it on the sofa with a cup of tea. The first thing I like to do is to celebrate all, you know, all the small steps I've taken, all the little baby steps, like towards like if I've set a new moon intention, all the steps that I've taken towards that. But like if you've never set a new moon intention, what I want you to do is just think about like all the things that you have achieved in the last like 2 weeks, or like even like a month. Like really think about that, because it's not often that we, you know, we celebrate those things. Like, and we actually, what I want you to do is now is I want you to take a couple of minutes to think about these things and write them down, because I think it's such a great thing to do, because once you see them on paper, like written down in a list, you think, holy shit, I've done a lot this last couple of weeks. But sometimes we can get so caught up in doing a list of things to do, and you know, we cross things off and then we add like 3 more things onto it, you know, that the act of celebration and kind of really like acknowledging that kind of gets lost. So this is why I really like to do it. So I just want you to take a couple of minutes to like really think about that, write them down, and then please share them in the chat, and then we can kind of celebrate them together. So just give you like a minute or two to do that. Oh, Lisa's putting when was the new moon? Hang on a second. I think it was around the 20th. It was the 20th of February. I'll just give you another minute there. If you want to put them in the chat, that would be awesome. So if you, sorry, Lisa just put, what are we sharing? So it could be anything. So it just could, I just want you to put in the chat anything that you're like super proud of, or like a small step that you've taken the past like 2 weeks, like any kind of thing that you personally want to celebrate and acknowledge. Like it can, however small, like I think it's important that we start to like celebrate those things. Hi Sarah, if you just pop yourself on mute, welcome. Sarah, we've literally just started kind of doing our full moon meditation. I'm running over a little bit, so if for everybody else who's been here since 7:30, we probably are going to go over a little bit. So if you need to go at 8:30, don't worry, I'm recording it all. But Sarah, we've just started with what we're doing at the moment. It's just taking a bit of time to think about the things that we want to celebrate over this full moon. Okay, right, here we go. Right, Lisa's put, just looked and my new program was conceived just before a new moon. Love that. Jenna's put, investing time in myself, setting up memoirs of a doula, yes, and supporting loads of lovely families. I love that. Lisa said that was by accident. Sarah, you don't need to apologize at all. It's lovely to have you here. Right, okay, I'm going to move on because it's 8:15 and I want us to kind of get towards the end. So this next exercise that I want us to do, so called the Wheel of Life. So I just thought it would be a really cool like journaling, drawing, like reflective like exercise in that kind of Virgo vibe of examining and analyzing and drilling down into the detail and like putting a microscope over every area of our life. So what I want you to do is just like really like roughly just draw this circle and just put some lines, split it out like a pie kind of thing. And then what we're going to do is look at each section. So we've got hobbies, we've got health, which like exercise and food and all of that kind of jazz. We've got money, work, career, we've got love, family, home environment, and then friends. And what we're going to do is look at each section. So I'm going to give you time to do this, like a couple of minutes to do this. And what I want you to do is score each section from 1 to 10. So 1, like you're not very happy with it right now, 10 being like this is like the best it could possibly be. And I want you to think about how happy you are with that area in your life today. So sitting here today, how happy are you with it? Okay. So just spend like a couple of minutes just doing that. And any questions, like pop them in the chat. And then when we've done that and you've kind of scored them all, then we'll kind of dig into it a little bit more. So does anyone want to like share what their lowest scored one was? So I did this earlier today, and actually my lowest was hobbies, I think. And it was a really interesting thing to do because I do feel like generally they're kind of happy, but it was quite interesting to like drill into that detail of like what is going on at the moment, and I realized I don't really have any hobbies. Lisa's hobbies and health. Jen, money burns a hole in my pocket. Jen, you want to watch Rich? Lisa, but I love beating myself up about health. Virgo. Does anyone else want to share their? Oh, Jen, I have. Does anyone else? Oh no, sorry, I've missed Sarah's here. Sarah, I want to score my family high because of my children, but there are other people in my family that bring the score down. Yeah, I get that. I can't ignore them and score it high. Like it's totally up to you, but like if you feel like maybe that's the it depends. Is that can't be then your lowest? Is that if you included your family members, would that mean that that section of your life was like the lowest? Or like, let me know. So Harriet's put same, hobbies and health. Sarah's put lowest, health, hobbies and friends, highest, work and money. Abigail's put hobbies. I love my lowest, but I've got some great highs. Sarah's put, so talk about the family. No, it wouldn't be my lowest, but they do bring it down. So okay, so it's really, so right, we're going to start to look at that lowest section, right? So what you could do, what I'm now going to ask you is just like a series of questions just about that lowest scored section. So for mine, it was hobbies, okay? And we're going to, just for tonight, we're just going to look at that one section. But if you wanted to go back and ask these questions to each one of the sections, it is actually a really, really like useful tool to kind of drill into that detail. Right, so looking at that lowest section, what could you stop doing here? I'm going to chat up. Okay. And then the second question is, so based on that lowest scored section, what could you start doing here? And then the last question is, what could you continue to do? So something that you might already be doing something in that section, but what could you then continue to do? So it's not all kind of, oh, I've got to start all these new things. It's like, what are you already doing that is great? And what could you continue to do in that section? And then if anyone wants to share in the chat, like what they're going to stop doing in that section, or start, or kind of continue to do. Harriet's put, who is my dear friend, who literally is probably, I've never met anyone who walks as fast as she does. She's going to start trying to have more rest. Yeah, you'll be pleased to hear. That makes me very happy. Sarah has put, stop eating so much. Hang on, I've lost. I went, stop eating so much sugar, start going to bed earlier, continue to be physically active and walk whenever possible. Awesome. Or start going to bed earlier is such a winner. Like, I'm tucked up in bed by 9:30. Okay, Jen has put, stop spending on eating out for, keeps flipping around. Sorry, Jen has put, stop spending on eating out for lunch, cake and coffee. Lisa has put, start working out harder. Stop beating myself up for not working out harder. Yeah, I think you look like you work super hard anyway. Okay, that stop one is that's a good stop. I'm loving these. Virgo, yeah. So mine was, I really hadn't given this much. I found this like a really useful exercise when I did it earlier. So hobbies, what I had realized, so my stop is on the days that I don't have the girls to stop just cramming that day with all business and thinking that's what needs to be. And so it's to start, even just doing 20-30 minutes of a hobby. And I was like brainstorming about that, and I've always really like modeling with clay and things, and like painting and stuff. And so that's what that's gonna be like my little activity that I'm gonna start doing. Okay, right, I hope you enjoyed that. I just thought with the kind of Virgo vibe, I thought it was a really good kind of tool to use to really drill down into the detail. And ooh, Jen's put polymer clay earrings. Yes, should do that. And actually, what I forgot about this little bit, but if you wanted, if you have drawn that circle with all of your sections, this is just a visual reminder of it. And you literally, so say you're writing up the sides, and so 1 is right in the middle of the circle and 10 is on the outside, and then you're kind of roughly drawing a little dot where each section was. So my hobbies was quite low, and each one, you start to realize when there is a section that's really, really low and out of whack, say all of these are kind of quite high-ish, and then maybe this one dips down or what have you, this kind of wheel of life that is supposed to run really, really smoothly because all of the edges are nice and smooth. When you have these dips where these areas are kind of lower, we start to realize why sometimes life can feel a little bit, bumpy essentially along the road. So it's really good to just kind of keep looking, go back to this exercise every now and again and start looking at those sections, and just keep an eye on which one, if a certain section has dropped lower but also really celebrate, if you're in that hobbies one, if you start to even raise that next time you come back to it and you've raised it by even just 1 point, really celebrate that because you've taken that little baby step towards it. Right, moving on. So we've kind of taken that time to celebrate. And so then the second part that I like to do is all about, it's like the letting go, it's like the release. So the other bit of that I like to do, again, it's all about putting pen to paper, is taking time to really reflect on what stood in our way and what has kind of held us back and is stopping us from where we want to get to. Okay, so perhaps it could be relating to that area of life that was at the lowest. It might not be. But I want you to start thinking, just spend a minute or two now thinking about what over last couple of weeks, or a month, what kind of things have really stood in your way. So like I've met, oh God, many a full moon I have as written this down. It's like comparing myself to other people, like what other businesses are doing, like getting caught up in the followers and, you know, all of that jazz, or not kind of believing what I have to say has value, like that those kind of things is the kind of the stuff that we need to, like, I guess, bring to the surface, like think about and like process it so that we can start to like let it go. But we have to give ourselves the space to think about that first. We can't just, you know, keep pushing it down. It needs to come up so that we can acknowledge it and then let it go. So take a minute or two to do that, and then if you would like to share in the chat, would be lovely. So Jen's put, I want to let go of my need for external validation. Yeah, that's a big one. I'm definitely still in the kind of throes of that. Lisa's put, I don't want to let go of beating myself up over exercising because it's my kick, but I'll pretend to. Oh. Need to finish that book. Oh my God, Sarah, this is so, like, I relate to this one so much. So Sarah's put the destination being the only focus. Yeah. It's like a daily learning for me to actually just like slow down and enjoy the bloody process of what I'm doing and like the building of things. Yeah, I totally get that. Lisa said, good job, you're coming to the live lessons from The Alchemist. Yes, if you don't follow Lisa Sykes online already, you should, because she's coming out with this amazing workshop all built around the book, which I'm sure you've heard of, The Alchemist, which is all about enjoying the journey, which is what I need to work on. Right, if anyone else would like to share in the chat, do so now. Otherwise, we are going to finish the session with a tapping exercise on really anything that has kind of come up this evening about so things that you want to kind of let go of, we're going to bring that into this tapping exercise. Sarah's being attacked by her dog. Right, let's get going with the tapping exercise. Okay, so I don't know if you've like heard of tapping or like, but I've just got really into it like the past few months. And so tapping is EFT. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. I'm still very much learning about it, but I just thought we could give this a try. It's like a 5-minute exercise. And if you haven't done it before, it does seem a bit strange at first because you're essentially just like tapping yourself. But you're using like light to medium pressure with your fingertips, and it's like a continuous motion. I'm going to chat you through it on your meridian points. And I just did a little diagram here. So basically these meridian points are used in acupuncture and like Chinese medicine, and they're described as energetic highways basically in the body, and they let like the energy kind of flow basically. So then they can be found in like in your head, like face, like collarbone, and like there's some in the wrist and also like the fingers. And then basically when we tap them, it triggers a response in our amygdala, which is the emotional center of our brain. So this is the place that deals with like fight, flight and freeze. It's like our nervous system basically. So when we are like feeling really anxious or stressed, and we're in that kind of fight or flight mode, like all that adrenaline and what's the word, cortisol is going, tapping basically interrupts this system so that we can kind of calm ourselves and like regulate our nervous systems and like de-stress, and it helps move emotions basically through these energetic highways, and it helps release them. So I thought it'd be a really nice way for us to end tonight's session and to like hopefully move through anything that might have come up tonight, and then working on releasing it, but all in this I've done it in with like a Virgo twist, I think. So kind of get comfortable, and the first thing we've got to do is I'm going to talk you through it. So you rub your hands together basically. So get some energy going. And I would notice like the heat building. Okay. Actually, when I first like did this, once you've like rubbed your hands together for a little bit, you can almost like, and then kind of stop and like slowly like move them apart a little bit. You can kind of start to feel like a bit of energy in between your hands. To do that a bit longer, and then just place your hands on your heart for a moment, and then breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth, in through your nose again, and then out through your mouth. Okay, so we're going to start tapping, so just kind of follow me, and I'm going to keep going in the same like rhythm. And what I'm going to be doing is saying some like affirmations basically. So you can either copy me and say them out loud, or just think them in your head, or just listen. It's completely up to you, and just kind of follow like where I'm tapping basically, but it's on that the diagram there. Okay. I know there are things that I need to change. Into eyebrows. Sometimes I worry that I don't have the strength to change them. Under the eyes. Under the lip. But I know that things won't change until things change. Okay, my wrist. Sometimes I beat myself up. Just do the fingernails there. It's a bit like that. And you do each finger. Sometimes I say unkind things to myself. Sometimes my inner critic completely takes over. Sometimes I want everything to be perfect, and it stops me in my tracks. I want to let this go. I know there are things that need to change. Sometimes I worry that I don't have the strength to change them. But I know that things won't change until things change. Sometimes I beat myself up. Sometimes I say unkind things to myself. Sometimes my inner critic completely takes over. Sometimes I want everything to be perfect, and it stops me in my tracks. I want to let this go. 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 Because I know that perfect doesn't exist. I know that I am good enough. I am enough. I choose to love myself. I choose to accept myself. I have all the strength I need to make the changes that are necessary. I give myself the space I need to gain clarity on what needs to change. I am not afraid of change. Change makes space for beautiful new beginnings to occur. I know that perfect doesn't exist. I know that I'm good enough. I am enough. I choose to love myself. I choose to accept myself. I have all the strength I need to make the changes that are necessary. I give myself the space I need to gain clarity on what needs to change. I am not afraid of change. I am not afraid of change. I am not afraid of change. Change makes space for beautiful new beginnings. Change makes space for beautiful new beginnings. Change makes space for beautiful new beginnings. Okay, I'm just going to put our hands on our heart again and just take one deep breath in. Breathe out, and then one more. And breathe out. How was that? I'm getting a bit obsessed with it. I really enjoy it. I also really find it hard. I've like when I'm getting quite stressed with the girls sometimes as well. I don't know why, but I personally really enjoy the oh, Jen's put first time I've ever done tapping. Did you enjoy it? Yeah. Yeah, when I'm getting stressed with the girls, sometimes when I just like tap on my wrist or like on my this like the finger point here, it really really helps. And also the other day when I was like that, especially that wrist and with the fingers really helps if like you're in a meeting or like you don't want to be like doing this in front of other people, if you know what I mean, to just like help like regulate yourself a little bit. And I got stuck in like the worst traffic the other day and I was really losing my, like I could just feel all of this like anxiety building. I thought I was gonna be late for something, blah blah blah. Anyway, I kept doing that and it really helped. So I'm just getting a bit obsessed with it. Lisa's put, oh, second convo about tapping today. Abigail's put, that was great, Jenna, thank you. Yeah, you're so welcome. Okay, that is it, guys. I'm sorry I ran a little bit over, but I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Thank you. Like, I'm so grateful like to see your faces and just for you to have shared what you did and just to kind of take part in everything. I massively appreciate it. Yeah, you're so welcome. If you enjoyed it, please like share on your socials. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing some more of these as we go along. So, and each one I'm going to be tailoring it more to like that sign that the you're so welcome that it falls under. So watch this space because I think I'm going to start doing more of these. But yeah, I'm going to leave you to your evening. Happy full moon. And I will send the recording out to everyone who's watching. Yeah, have a lovely evening. All right, lots of love. Bye.